Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Charles. I want to welcome you guys to another episode of the Dreamerspro Show, where we cover everything from sports, hot topics, classic debates, entertainment, where we give you guys a fresh perspective on things and how we see them. Excuse me. In today's episode, the topic is a Laker player ignites the drama and the beef between the Clippers. So that's the topic I want to get into in today's video. But before we get into that, I want you guys to please make sure you go ahead and hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell to be notified whenever we drop our content. Also, be sure to check out our Dreamerspro Podcast, which we have linked in the description below. And with that being said, let's just get straight into the content here. So today, actually, I was planning on taking a day off because we've been producing content nonstop, just really gearing up for the season because the season is about to start. Not the season, the preseason at least is about to start on Friday. So I said, okay, let's just take off today or tomorrow, and then let's just see how things go. But these comments came out yesterday, so we got to cover it, and that's just part of the game. So anyway, you guys know the back and forth that happened between the Lakers last season, and it all really started when Kawhi decided to go play with the Clippers, and he dropped that commercial on opening night, right? Because the moment he decided to go play with the Clippers and bring Paul George and with LeBron and AD in LA with the Lakers, automatically all of us assumed that these were going to be the two best teams, at least in the Western Conference. So, and that created this kind of theme of Battle of LA. Needless to say, Kawhi Leonard went there on his opening night, had a great showing, had like 30 points that game, played without Paul George, and he got a win. They were trailing early in the game, but they came back and won the game. And, people were like, it's Kawhi Town after the New Balance commercial that he dropped. Then after that, they met again on Christmas Day. And the Clippers were able to get that win off the Lakers, although the Lakers led most of the game, where the Clippers finally caught up in the third and fourth quarters and overcame them. We all remember the swipe that Patrick Beverley had on LeBron James' fingertips, hand, and it went off. The ball went out of LeBron James' fingertips and it went out of bounds. And that was really, then the Clippers went up 2-0, right? And then the Lakers came and took the next two, the one right before the pandemic in March, which was probably their most impressive stretch of basketball after they beat the Milwaukee Bucks 2 days later, turned around and then beat the Clippers. And then we had the shutdown, right? But then the restart started, and then we had the final game that they played in the 8 bubble games, where it was, again, another close game. And LeBron James went to shoot the shot. I think he wanted to shoot a floater. It went short, but ricocheted off the rim, got his own rebound, offensive rebound, and then just threw it up. And then that was the shot that put that game out of reach pretty much. And then, of course, when the Clippers did have a timeout, came out, and Kawhi Leonard was supposed to try to get the last shot, went in, got himself in a bad situation and kicked the ball back out to Paul George. And LeBron was switched off and played an excellent defense in that last sequence. And that's how they lost that last game. And then they ended up going 2-2 for the regular season. So going into the playoffs, we were all expecting this confrontation. All of us, and when I say all of us, I mean pretty much all of us, probably with the exception of probably some Laker fans. And I say some because I'm sure not all Laker fans thought that they were going to beat the Clippers. I'm sure some people thought, like, man, these guys might be good. But except for them and Nick Wright. Nick Wright was always holding out and saying that the Clippers were absolutely not going to even make it out of the second round. So kudos to those people for getting it right. So playoffs started. Lakers were handling business in the first round against the Rockets. I believe it was the Rockets that they faced in the first. No, I don't remember the team that they faced in the first round. I'm not sure about the team they faced in the first round. No, they beat the Blazers in the first round. They handled them. And then Clippers took care of business beating the Mavs. Then the Lakers went on to the second round to play the Rockets. They took care of business. They beat the Rockets. And the Clippers were looking like they were going to beat the Denver Nuggets pretty handily after they went up 3-1. We thought they were going to close it out in Game 5. And what happened? They lost Game 5, they lost Game 6, and they lost Game 7. And man, when they lost Game 7, it pretty much shook up the sports world. Like, no one saw that team blowing that 3-1 lead. Even people that did not pick the Clippers to win the title, going into that Game 7, the Shannon Sharps, all of these guys, still, Stephen A. Smith, all of them, still picked the Clippers to win that Game 7. Like, all of them did. So it was one of these things where it was totally, like, it was just unconscionable that they would have lost that game. But then they went out, and we all saw what happened. They lost the game. So recently, LeBron James was on a podcast, and they were asking him about the whole rivalry of last season between the Lakers and the Clippers, right? And in a candid moment, LeBron basically said what his thoughts were about the Clippers all throughout the regular season and after they lost that game, that game 7 to the Denver Nuggets. So take a listen to him talking about that.
All this talking that they were doing all year, and exclude Paul and exclude Kawhi.
Yeah.
You know, even exclude Trez and I mean obviously we know who.
Now we know who Trez. Now it's talking.
Trez might have said a little bit because he was a part of that crew.
He like no disrespect to Trez, but he kind of like Tristan. He gonna follow.
Yeah, he rolling.
He gonna roll. Yeah, exactly. Jesus talking
and that's
trash,
why he loyal. Tristan, he's a loyal guy. Tristan's a loyal guy. Like if he believe in you, he gonna rock with you. So, and they put themselves in a position to get what they've been talking about all year. And I just couldn't fathom the part or come to realization that they did not seek that opportunity when it was right there.
Yeah, up 3-1, up double digits.
I just did not see them losing, just like everybody else in the basketball sports world. Did not see them losing.
Now, in that soundbite, LeBron says a bunch of different things, right? Number one, he says that there were a lot of Clippers players that were talking a lot of trash. He excluded some players. He excluded Kawhi. He excluded Paul George. And then he ultimately excluded Montrezl Harrell, who is now his teammate. But he said Montrezl Harrell was talking trash last season because that was the team he was on. He was riding with his dudes, so he was trash talking, right? So he said they were talking all this trash, saying all of these different things. And then they go out in a game 7, in a game that they had no business in really being in a game 7. They had no business being in a game 7. They should have closed that thing out in 5, maximum 6 games. You go to a game 7 after talking all that crap all throughout the regular season. You go out there and you blow it and you lose the game. And he said, we just couldn't believe it. He said, just like the rest of you guys out there, we thought he was like, there was no way they were going to lose that game 7. And when they lost, his first things, he was just like, I was completely shocked. Now, the part about him talking about them losing, I think that causes no drama, except maybe some players may feel, players in this case, I'm talking about some Clippers, may feel, why are you speaking on our business? Why are you talking about what it had to do with it? Like, what happened with us last season? It's not your team. It has nothing to do with that. So there's some Clippers players that may feel like that, and some of them may take offense to that, like, yo, why are you even talking about us, right? However, the part where I think some Clippers players are going to take exception was, you guys were talking all that crap, man. You guys were talking all that junk, saying you were going to do this, saying you were going to do that, saying you're going to beat us, saying you're going to win the title, this and this and this and this, and you go out there and wet the bed. You just go out there and wet the bed. And I think some players are going to take exception to that. And when he said, you know who the trash talkers are, I'm probably referring to Patrick Beverley, and some other guys on the team that are usually more outspoken. He's probably referring to those guys, and I'm sure those guys are going to hear that comment. Now, for me, I think it makes it all the more interesting. I'm glad he said it, right? I'm glad he said that because it's what we were all thinking anyway. At least it's what we're thinking Laker players were saying. Another Laker player came out and said it. I forgot his name. I think it was Jared Dudley, I think is his name. He came out and said we were cracking up and we couldn't believe it, blah, 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 blah. We were laughing about it. Even Kyle Kuzma had some slick things to say after the Clippers blew that 3-1 lead to the Denver Nuggets. So for me, I think it's going to add more to the drama and the storyline and sort of the storyline, this particular storyline going into this season. And for me, I think it's good. I know Clippers players are going to hear about it. Now, it can remain the way it is, but if media members start asking Clippers players about the comments of LeBron James, say like, hey, what do you think about what? And then now it can be turned into something big. And remember, these two teams are going to face on opening night, and that's pretty much right around the corner. So for me, I'm super excited about it. I think it's good for the game, and it's going to make things way more interesting. So what I want to know from you guys is, number one, what do you think about LeBron James's comments? What are your thoughts on that? Secondly, do you think it's going to cause things to intensify? Like, some players are going to take it personally that he said that or not. Whatever you guys think, please leave your thoughts and comments in the comment section below. Again, if you enjoyed the video, please make sure you go ahead and hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and hit the notification bell to be notified whenever we drop our content. Also, be sure to check out some of our other videos that we have on our channel, and check out our latest video that we're going to link at the end of this video. Once again, this is Charles here from Dreamerspro, wishing you guys an amazing day. Peace.